real thing of healing or helping a person doesn't come because you apply a technique. In fact, many therapists, they hide behind their technique. And in this training, you learn what really works. For example, to be yourself, to show your vulnerability, and to be in a space where you don't want anything from yourself or from the other. That is what really helps. So technique alone can help only in a very limited way. And in this training, we gain that understanding. And when we have that understanding, then we can use a technique, but we are not so identified with it. Basically, we focus very much on getting an understanding what you come from when you work as a therapist and how to find presence as a therapist. So we examine, when you give a session, we examine where you're coming from very minutely. So people get a lot of awareness and understanding each moment in the session where they're coming from. How to recognize when they're in presence and how to recognize when they go into the mind. How they behave and how it shows. And what is helpful for them to find presence. That is a big focus in that training. Throughout the training, the course leader demonstrates the art of individual counseling and explains in detail the steps that lead to healing and out of the identification with mind. Usually, participants exchange individual sessions on a daily basis. In this way, they learn by being in the position of a client and therapist both. They learn to pass on what they themselves have experienced. The teachings include understanding the mechanisms of the human mind in general, like projection, desire, resistance, the flow of energy in the body, the principles of healthy relating, and the psychology of inner man and inner woman, to name only a few. We are all too much focused on what we miss, in a way on the negative side of ourselves. We are too much focused on that. And also therapy is focused on that. It, in a way, once a client comes, has a problem and wants to fix that and wants to change himself and to solve that problem. In this training, we create an understanding that actually having a problem is you miss something else. So what we are more focusing here is to nourish and to support what we think we are missing, but actually in certain moments we're in contact with that. So we more support, let's say, our being or the positive side in us, and then we give energy to that, and then by itself the negative becomes less important. In a way, to look at our beauty is more frightening actually than to look at our dark side. To acknowledge what is beautiful in us often is more difficult. And in this training we want to support that, to grow. One major part of the training consists in exploring the dynamics of relationship. We distinguish here between the primary relationship to our parents and the relationship between man and woman. We study a Gestalt model where we alternately sit on two opposite placed cushions that represent us and the other, enabling us to become aware of what goes on in any of our intimate relationships. The relationship dynamic to a partner leads us towards discovering our inner duality of man and woman. Another direct way to contact our inner male and female sides is by allowing them to come forth through the left and right eye. They can then speak to each other from two opposite cushions, just as partners in any relationship.
Very like squared.
Squared.
Yes. I tend to fight. Yes, to be defensive, but also with fighting energy.
Often, our personal relationships reflect this inner dynamic.
To realize that it wasn't as at the beginning.
He is not as strong as you thought, no?
Mm.
He's actually quite shaky, insecure, and fearful. In a session, each side is given space to express her or himself. Often there happens an inner shift when we discover the real authentic strengths and essential nature of each side. Now a change in relationship to the better becomes possible. All what we learn in this training applies to any situation where you are relating to another person. Not just in the situation of a therapist. Therapy-client relation is a certain kind of relationship. But what we are learning here applies to any kind of relationship.